Gully, this is quite an amazing hearing that is happening, the IRS scandal hearing. We have coverage happening on The Blaze, and can we get the audio for the radio? We're trying to get the audio now for radio because we've decided to join this because it is
staggering.
It is staggering.
The clear wording of the statute.
This is
we would not be having to deal today with selective
Lloyd Dodgett. Where's he from?
Democrat, Texas, 35th District, Austin, San Antonio.
And I hope that petition is honored.
IRS hearing right now about the big scandal.
As I believe you have fulfilled your responsibilities, Mr. George.
These Democrat questions are brutal.
General. Thank you for your
I think you're wonderful, and I think you're more than wonderful.
You've told us that there was nothing going on, and we believe you.
I think I'm in love with you, and I wouldn't mind
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
sleeping with you later on today.
Here we go, new one.
Targeting, but it's used in the IG report 16 times. So
no, they're saying
that's a common understanding of the word.
They're saying that targeting is a harsh word, and we didn't target anybody. Can you imagine if this was about gays? Jonah Goldberg just brought this up. This is about gays or women or anything like that. What people would say? Would you think if they said that you were targeting civil rights organizations?
Yeah.
They would never say that that's too harsh of a word.
No. And they were saying targeting was too harsh, and the report itself used targeting 16 times was the one he was making there.
Now that we had responded in writing and everything was done, did it make sense for us to start talking about this in public?
Can you walk me through the logic that animated in your mind at that time where you thought it would be a good idea to make a public disclosure to the American Bar Association rather than coming and following up on your duty to disclose that to the House?
So we were going to do it at the same time, I believe. Our intent was to talk to you all at the same time.
But that didn't happen, did it?
It did not happen, I don't believe.
What other recollection do you have, or what other experience did you have when you were talking with Ms. Lerner about this scheme to have the planted question at the ABA?
I'm not sure what you're asking, sir.
I'm asking, what's your recollection of that conversation?
We talked about what would be said and how we might do it.
Where did the conversation take place?
I believe it was over the phone.
What day did the conversation take place?
I'd have to look back at my notes on that, sir.
You've got notes on that?
I'd have to try to find them. I'm not
Why did you say you had notes if you don't think you have notes?
Nice.
Sir, please.
Please what?
Thank you.
Do you have notes or don't you have notes?
I don't know.
You don't know if you have
That
notes?
Let's shift gears.
Amazing. He just caught him in a lie.
This is really bad. This is
caught him in a lie.
really not going to go good for the president. This is a bloodbath.
On the question as to whether you
This is Peter Roskam of Illinois.
Idea of does the committee have the right to know this information? And then you sort of sheltered yourself in this idea of, well, I've always told the truth. Let's set that aside for a moment. Now, you're a lawyer and I'm a lawyer. You know that in the process of discovery, Mr. Miller, that when you find subsequent information, counsel has a duty to disclose that to the opposite party. There's no Perry Mason moments. There's no gotcha moments. There's no litigious situation where somebody comes in and says, oh, we are just showing up, Your Honor, with this information, and we haven't disclosed it to the other side. Don't you acknowledge that you had a duty, based on your testimony before this committee, of what your actual knowledge was? Didn't you have a duty, Mr. Miller, to come forward and disclose that to the committee based on all this cascading inquiries that had happened from the Ways and Means Committee directed to you?
So I don't believe so, sir. What was happening was I was in possession of some facts, was not possession of all facts. We had done an internal review to see what we needed to do to get these cases moving because, again, the processing was bad, the listing was bad. Those are two different pieces we were dealing with.
Unbelievable.
TIGTA was in at exactly
what's incredible
the same
is
time.
we now have them admitting to also that they did plant this question. Why would you plant that question? Why would you want someone to stand up and say, hey, what about this? And you're answering in front of the American Bar Association. Instead of just going to the president, and because the president found out about it in the newspaper, they actually discussed about giving it as a question, and they planted the question.
The totality of the information that you're describing today, you had it all in your possession at the time at which you were under a scheme with Ms. Lerner to go and do a planted question. Is that right?
I sort of object to the term scheme. We had the information. We were reaching out to the committees
an understanding, a written or not written down
we were reaching out to the
play, a manipulation, call it what you will. You had all of the information. Isn't that right?
We were reaching out to the committee at the same time.
Well, what form did that outreach take?
We called to try to get on the calendar.
You called to try and get on the calendar. Is that all you got?
It's the truth.
That's great.
Okay. You know, I find it incredibly ironic. You know, on the one hand, you're arguing today that the IRS is not corrupt. But the subtext of that is you're saying, look, we're just incompetent. And I think it is a perilous pathway to go down.
This guy is great.
There's sort of this notion that hasn't been satisfactorily answered, and that is, if the targeting wasn't targeting, if the targeting wasn't based on philosophy, how come only conservatives got snagged?
Thank you.
They didn't, sir.
They didn't.
Organizations from all walks and all persuasions
in numbers
were pulled in.
Point we've made many times.
That's shown by the fact that only 70 of the 300 organizations were Tea Party organizations of the ones that were looked by
right. And the other rest of them are 912.
Testimony is in contradiction to the IG testimony. I yield back.
Time has expired. Mr. Thompson's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate
the fact that they looked at one or two other liberal groups in the middle of all of that is not the point. It's in numbers, and that's the line they're trying to walk.
Right.